What is up, beautiful people? It is Monday, June 1st. We are here for another month. It is the third month of the second quarter of 2020. That means that we need to jump into another weekly review here and figure out where we stand on our quarterly goals, as well as our goals from last week, and figure out what our goals need to be for this week going forward to stay on track and to make sure that we are getting everything done that we need to get done during this quarantine, during this economic shutdown. My name is John Fredrickson. I am a photographer here in Brooklyn, New York, and we have now been in quarantine for 2.5 months. We are going into, the third week of the third month since we've been quarantined, since about March 15th. So what does that mean for us? That means that we need to be figuring out how to continue to stay productive in terms of doing photography projects, in terms of building this YouTube channel, in terms of continuing to put out content on social media. And then, of course, eventually we want to start thinking about getting back in touch with clients as things start to open up again. It's still too early for that, so we're still mostly doing creative projects, but I do want to get started on my new podcast this week. I'm working on a new podcast called The Future of Purpose, and I'm really excited to be getting the groundwork laid for that podcast so that I can start reaching out to people and start scheduling my first interviews for the podcast. But before we jump into that, we have been in the middle of this photo shoot session where we shot some quarantine portraits about a week ago, documenting this crazy quarantine hair that we've got going on because none of the barbershops are opening, and just, having some fun here in the studio, playing around with some lighting. And so we shot a workflow video of the behind the scenes of the actual portrait shoot. And then we put out a video of the post-production editing workflow. And now we're going to do a part 2 of that editing workflow video where we're going to jump into Photoshop, and I'm going to show you how I do the final retouching on those images, and then how I organize them for long-term storage, for archiving on my hard drives, as well as for social media so that I can get ready to start posting things on social media. So why don't we jump into, first, let's do our weekly review from last week. Let's see where we stand. Let's take a look at our goals for this quarter to make sure that we are making progress on all the things that we need to be making progress on this quarter, since we are now entering into the last month of the quarter before we go into quarter 3. It's amazing. We're almost halfway done with 2020. So let's jump into Serenity. Let's take a look at last week. What were our goals for last week? We wanted to, publish a weekly planning video. Boom, we did that. We wanted to get into the studio 4 days and crush the daily skating. I've been skating into the studio every day to avoid riding the subways, and that was a big success last week. We're going to, again, try to do that again this week, keep that flow going, make sure that we're getting our exercise, as well as just getting here every day. That is half the battle, just getting into the studio and figuring out what we can work on once we're in here, but making sure that we're making that a weekly goal as well, and we're making progress on that every week. Create a better intro to introduce myself. I'm still kind of working on that. I marked that off as complete, even though, we haven't really figured that out yet, but that's something I'm trying to work on with every video. Really think about how I'm introducing the videos for people who have never seen my work before, whether they're coming to the channel for the first time and they have no idea who I am and what I'm about. Just throwing a little bit more information about who I am into the beginning of every video. But let's not go too crazy on that. That'll just be something that I'll kind of think about as I continue to do these videos and try to continue to iterate on and improve on, and maybe just develop a natural feel for it as we go. I wanted to publish that photography editing workflow video. I finally got that done. It took me a week longer than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to get all 3 of these videos done in 1 week. Turns out I'm getting 1 done every week. So my editing workflow, my video editing workflow is definitely running slower than I would like it to at the moment. So that's something that I really need to be thinking about as I continue to put these videos out. How can I shrink down the amount of time that I'm spending producing the videos, editing the videos, and publishing the videos so that I can do more in less time? And that's really going to be a priority for this week. I wanted to make sure that I was researching people for my upcoming podcast, for the Future of Purpose, for the interviews. I created a new section on the website. I can show you that right here. If we go into the Future of Purpose, I have my website broken down into different projects that I'm working on. Within the Future of Purpose, I created a sub-project called Subjects. And this is a list of people that I've kind of been doing research on YouTube. I have a really fun list because it's people that are kind of at the top of their game, that have been doing this for a long time, that have inspired me to get excited about YouTube. And these are people that I definitely want to interview down the road once I've got my podcast up to that level. But we also have a few people that are kind of just getting started out, that are more at the beginning of their YouTube careers, that are doing really inspiring things, but maybe don't have the audience base yet of those bigger YouTubers. And I think those are going to be the people that are going to be really exciting to start with for the first interviews, to just hear their story. What brought them to first becoming a creative, where they wanted to do something that was just totally different from anybody else and kind of forge their own path as a creative. And then two, what brought them to YouTube, and what inspired them to want to start putting out videos describing their process and showing, the creativity behind their work, and helping even to teach other people and inspire other people to be able to take that step. So I'm really excited to start jumping into some of these. And we'll see a little bit later in the week, maybe make a video or two about what my thought process is for how to get that podcast started and get it off the ground. So we definitely made progress on that. Now, we also wanted to publish a post-production workflow and social media strategy video. That's something that's still going to happen at the end of this next photo video that I'm working on, the part 2 of the editing for this photo video. So that's going to have to get kicked forward to next week because I didn't finish that last week. We also wanted to do a little bit more work on creating the website for the podcast for the future purpose, create a formal proposal document to start sending out to new talent, and hopefully even schedule this first interview. So none of that got done this past week. I have to admit, the week got off to a late start. We had Memorial Day off. So I'm just going to mark these all as failed goals for last week, and that's okay. The whole point of creating these goals in this goal section of the website was to just force me to think every week about what I'm trying to get done. And, we're in the middle of quarantine, so obviously we're not going to be at top level productivity, and that's okay. I've been spending more time with family. I took the weekend off this weekend, and, it's okay to push these things forward to next or this week now. But it's important to review at the end of every week, what progress did we make on the goals that we set for ourselves at the beginning of the week, and which ones of those goals that we didn't complete do we want to move forward into the next week and continue to work on, and which ones do we maybe want to put on the back burner, and that's okay too. As you progress and as you iterate, it's okay to go in new directions sometimes. But we definitely want to continue this work on the podcast. So let's kick those goals from last week forward to this week. Let's say first, publish weekly planning video. And this is something I'm going to try to do every week. That was not supposed to be within the Future of Purpose project, but that's rather within my YouTube project. That's where I organize all my thoughts and ideas and goals around making these YouTube videos. So we definitely want to do that. That's what we're working on right now. We'll get that put out today. Next, we want to finish up part 2 of that photo editing video. So that's going to go in my YouTube project as well. Publish part 2 of photography post-production video. So hopefully we can get that shot today and edited tomorrow, and by the end of the day on Tuesday, be wrapped up with these photo post-production videos and start thinking about and start working on the Future of Purpose podcast that I'm really excited to be getting launched, hopefully starting maybe next week if we can really make some good progress on that this week. So those goals for the Future of Purpose that I wanted to be working on were: create Future Purpose website, create proposal document for new talent. This is going to be the document that I'm going to send to talent when I am reaching out to them and asking them to come on the podcast and do the interview with me. So just a nice formal document for them to be able to see what the podcast is all about, why I'm excited to be interviewing them, and, just something that I can send along with that initial email. So talent proposal document for new talent. Boom. All right. And this week, we have to do it this week. Schedule first podcast guest. All right. Can we get that done? Can we get everything done so we can start reaching out to potential new guests and maybe get our first interview scheduled for next week? That would be the ultimate goal for this week. If we can hold ourselves to that, we have 5 days this week. We can get the photography post-production video out of the way today and tomorrow. We can get this weekly planning video done today, and then we can spend Wednesday, Thursday, Friday really getting, or maybe just Wednesday, Thursday, really getting the website and the proposal document ready for the Future of Purpose podcast. And then Friday, we start reaching out to new talent. I tend to prefer to reach out to people on Mondays because people are kind of at the end of their week on Friday, but let's at least make the goal to get everything together and to at least be ready to start doing stuff by the end of the week this week. So we have those goals in place. I think that that's got our full week planned out in terms of the things that we can get done this week. But it's also important to think about what are our personal goals for the week, just in terms of like personal productivity. Obviously, just getting in here and getting into the studio every day is a big one every week. And you know what? It's okay to set goals that are kind of just like baseline goals, the kind of thing that you really just want to get done every week. It's not really something to strive for above and beyond everything else you're doing, but it's like just kind of baseline. It's like, if I can just get this one thing done, even if I accomplish nothing else, I will at least have that I can check off and feel good about. And it just, helps to keep the flow going in terms of productivity and in terms of feeling like you're accomplishing things. Even if you're having a really rough week and maybe you're not getting all your goals done, at least you know that if you can get that baseline, getting into the studio, skating here every day, that's a good thing to check off. And it's nice to give yourself easy goals to accomplish at the base of everything else that you're trying to accomplish on top of it. So let's throw that goal in there. We'll make that a personal goal. And it's 5 days this week. We have a full week. It's the first week of the last quarter. It's the first week of the last month of the quarter. So that's that. That's this week. I'm really excited about getting a jump start on this. I would also love to hear, what are you guys working on? What's going on this month? We're starting a new month. It's time to start thinking about the rest of the summer. This quarantine will hopefully start wrapping up. New York is supposedly starting to open up next week, even, just a little bit. It's not going to be everything. I don't expect to have much photography work in the first couple weeks of June, but at least businesses are starting to think about reopening, and people are starting to think about leaving their houses and start, re-entering the economy. So, we all need to start thinking about how we're going to jump into that new economy on the other side. So I'd love to hear what you're thinking about that, what you're working on in the interim, how you're staying inspired and productive, and how you do your goal setting. So I appreciate you taking a look at this video and seeing how I'm keeping myself organized and staying productive during this time. And I would love to hear from you. Leave me a comment, drop a like on the video. Let me know what it is that you've got going on. And let's continue to stay productive and inspired and keep creating. Let me know what's going on. And I will see you here in the next one. Peace.